We're now in May 2018, and it's time for another monthly update video in which I'm going to talk about what went on in April and what we've got coming up in the month of May. I always like to begin by highlighting three big things. So without any further ado, here they are. Big thing number one, podcasting. I'm going to be taking my videos and converting them into podcasts, as people have been asking for a long time for me to do, once I reach the next level of support on Patreon. So I'll talk about that in the April section. And big thing number two, I've now passed today the 50,000 subscriber mark on YouTube in the main channel. So I'm planning on having a little celebration about that coming up this weekend online, where I'll raise a glass and have people participate with me in about an hour or so of chatting back and forth through video conferencing. And then the third thing, big thing number three, is we've started doing something new with the MKE Stoic Fellowship, Stoic Walk and Talks on Saturdays. I'm going to be hosting the second of these coming up this Saturday morning here in Milwaukee. All right, so let's talk about April now. There's a lot of other things to talk about, but I'm going to mention just at the beginning, because people were a bit concerned, I am over whatever sickness it was that I had in the earlier months that was taking a lot out of my energy level. And I've been hitting the gym anywhere from 3 to 5 times a week, feeling better, not actually losing any weight yet in any reliable way, but certainly losing a lot of fat and adding muscle, and feeling better. And I'm actually at the point now where I'm enjoying and looking forward to going to work out, rather than seeing it as a chore that I've scheduled for myself as an appointment. Well, maybe I'll shoot a video about that or talk about that in a blog post. All right, let's talk about events. We had our normal online events, an AMA session, philosophy pop-ups. You can see the videos for those linked to below. We, of course, did our philosophy chat for my Patreon supporters. That's one of the perks that I offered to them. And we had our MKE face-to-face Stoic Fellowship meeting. We're almost done with Seneca's letters at this point, and we discussed a lot of important business. And I did one face-to-face lecture, the one on L. Sprague de Camp and Fletcher Pratt's Complete Enchanter series in the Worlds of Speculative Fiction talk series, which is now well into its third year. I do want to mention something about the Patreon podcasting thing. So people have been asking me for a long time, hey, would you start converting some of your videos into MP3s so I can listen to them on the go, watch, instead of watching them, listen to them as I'm, commuting, biking, cooking, whatever. A lot of people don't want to use streaming service, which makes total sense. So I've been giving a lot of thought to this, and I said, well, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it right. I want to take the older videos and boost the sound quality, maybe put an intro and an outro, and do the whole podcasting thing the way it's supposed to be done. So that's going to take some extra time. So I put that in there in Patreon. When I reach the next level of monthly support on Patreon, I've committed to starting to do those podcasts, anywhere from 10 to 12, maybe if I get really ambitious, 15 of them a month. So if you want to see those, that start, you might want to start contributing. If you're already contributing, thanks very much for that support. I'm looking forward to doing this, but it is a lot of work. So I mentioned that in the April part because I created that new sort of appeal in April. I did a lot of going on other people's shows as a guest, doing interviews, podcasts, radio shows this last month. Some of them that are linked to below here in the video description. My Own Worst Enemy. We did almost a 2-hour discussion about anger and what philosophical resources can do to help us with that. I was also on the Stoic Solution podcast talking about this notion of in accordance with nature and what it means for the Stoics. I went on the Image for Hire local radio show here with the Scrouse, talking about a whole bunch of different issues. And then I went on a conservative host's show, Benjamin Boyce, and I think surprised him a little bit on some of the points. Some of his viewers were not entirely happy with the things that I had to say, but you know, that's the shakes, right? So you can see links to all of those below. I did get a good bit of popular writing done this month. I'm very happy about that. Rexus Dianoetike, my main blog, I've now got it really up and running again, something I haven't had consistently for several years. I did some blogging in the Half Hour Hegel blog, and I'll be doing more of that this month. And I did get the Heavy Metal Philosopher going again as well. I've been teaching an online class, Worldviews and Values, for Marist College. By the way, if you're interested in taking a similar class, but not for credit, you can find that link to below here as well. I was asked by the Marquette Philosophy Department to consider teaching for them next semester, and I agreed, so I'm scheduled for teaching 2 sections of their new class. I forget exactly what it's called, but it's something like an Intro to Philosophy class with a few other things added into it. Did a lot of tutorial sessions, not surprisingly, as the semester winds down, but I also have my regular clients. Did some philosophical counseling, some coaching, doing some consulting work. So a lot of interesting side projects. I didn't get a lot of academic writing done, and I didn't get as much work on the book projects as I would have preferred, but you know, it was kind of a busy month. And I did manage to get a good bit of work done on videos. I finally got my 6 half-hour Hegels done for the month. We wrapped up the Cicero on Duties core concepts. I did a whole series of core concept videos on René Descartes' Discourse on Method. You can see a blog post about that in Rexus Dianoetike. Of course, there's the event video from the sci-fi event, the AMA video, a philosophy pop-up on philosophy and anger. And I did quite a few additional Q&A videos, you know, these common answers to common questions. And I did another book review, which I'm quite happy about. What have we got coming up in May? A lot of events, many of which are online, so wherever you happen to be, you can participate in them. The first event is actually over with, but that was a face-to-face event here in the Milwaukee area in my Philosophers in the Midst of History. I did my lecture on St. Augustine and the fall of the Roman Empire and what was going on within the church at the time. I did that on the first, so you know, I didn't really have the time to do this video to talk about that beforehand. We've got 2 things coming up this Saturday, May 5th. At 9 a.m. locally here in Milwaukee, we are doing our second Stoic Walk and Talk at Lake Park in Milwaukee. We're going to walk about maybe 1.5 miles and chat about Stoicism. We'll have a passage that will, you know, I'll read first, and then we'll walk around, and people can ask me whatever they like. This is open to anybody. Anybody in the area who wants to participate in it. Normally, one of the other members of the Stoic Fellowship is leading it, which I'm very happy about, but he has to be out of town this weekend. So if you show up to this one, you get me as the host instead, which may be, you know, an attraction for some people. Maybe not for others. So that is at 9 a.m. at Lake Park here in Milwaukee. Then at 2 p.m., we are going to hold an online event, special party. Now, of course, you know, I'll be having a beer on my end. You can have whatever you want to have on your end. And we'll have a toast and raise a glass, celebrating reaching the 50,000 subscribers mark in YouTube. So kind of a big thing. You'll see the link to that below as well, and you can find the event listed on my Facebook page and on the Reason.io website. On the 9th, which is a Wednesday at 5 p.m. Central Time, all these online events are in Central Time, half-hour Hegel public Q&A and discussion session. If you've got questions about Hegel, about German idealism, about any of those sorts of things, show up. It's for everybody. You don't have to be a Patreon supporter to participate in that. We do also have another one, especially for Patreon supporters. That's later on. On the 10th, which is a Thursday at 7 p.m. here locally at the Brookfield Public Library, we continue with our Worlds of Speculative Fiction series, this time talking about Andre Norton's Witch World series. And we're going to look at the first 3 volumes because she wrote a lot of books in that series. Really wonderful texts by a very interesting author. On the 12th, which is that Saturday, 12 p.m. Central Time, I will be having my AMA, that's Ask Me Anything session. So you got any questions for me? You got questions about philosophy in general? Show up to that for an hour, usually an hour and a half. I'm there answering them in the order that I see them. Sometimes I miss some of them, and towards the end, you want to get yours in early because towards the end, we get overwhelmed with questions. Finally, on the 19th, another Saturday, 2 p.m., we have a philosophy chat session just for my Patreon supporters. That's video conferencing, so you see me in real time. I can see you if you want to show yourself, and we chat about whatever these Patreon supporters want to discuss. It's one of the perks for people belonging to that. So that's a natural segue into once again talking about the podcasting thing. I am hoping that I'm going to reach the next level of support on Patreon before the end of the month, and if I do, then you're going to see some podcasts coming out, and I'll be taking videos that I've shot, probably start with some of the older ones, and boost the sound quality, take out anything that seems to be dead air, maybe add some cool images or things like that for the thumbnail, and some good outro and intro stuff as well. So that's something that hopefully you can look forward to if we get enough new support coming in. Going to continue on the writing. I'm going to hammer away at some of the book projects that I've got ongoing. Going to continue writing in Erexis Dia Noetike, my main blog, in Half Hour Hegel, in Heavy Metal Philosopher. I also have a piece coming out this Saturday in Stoicism Today, about the workshop that I did at Stoicon 2017, so you might take a look for that. I'm going to be also doing some guest posting in Common Sense Ethics, Policy of Truth, and hopefully if I get it done in the Partially Examined Life. It's about time that I started following through on some of these invitations that I get to do guest writing. The Marist class is wrapping up. They actually take their final exam next week. I'm starting to write syllabi for the Marquette class, and of course I'm doing a lot of tutorial work, philosophical counseling, consulting. If you're interested in those services, by the way, go to reasonio.com, or you can email me directly, and we'll start the ball rolling on that if you want to bring in a philosopher to help you out with some issues. Videos. I'm going to be, of course, doing videos from the events. So if you missed the AMA or you missed the philosophy pop-up, or you can't make it to the talks that I'm doing here locally, you'll be able to see them in the video channel. I've got my normal quota of 6 half-hour Hegel videos to do this month. We're in the middle of the Absolute Freedom and Terror section. Very exciting. I think a lot of other people will be quite excited to know that now that Descartes business is done, I'm going to be doing some new core concept videos that people have been waiting for quite a while on the introduction to Heidegger's Being and Time. Got a few book reviews that I want to get caught up on. I'm going to do some more Q&A videos as well. And I've got another interview in the Ideas That Matter sequence coming out, and I'm hoping to do some more interviews later this month as well with some people who are here locally. So that's everything that's going on in May. A lot of stuff on the docket to get cracking on. Hope you have a great month, and hopefully I'll see you at some of these events. And remember, if you want to see those podcasts coming forth, become a Patreon supporter. There's a lot of cool perks that come with it, and it's a great way to be involved and to give something back and to help me continue doing the work that I do here, bringing philosophy to a worldwide audience.